I hate my cousin. Because she's a thief. She steals and snatches everything, especially if it's mine. Later, she stole my college acceptance letter, tore it to shreds, and stuffed the pieces in her pocket. She was so smug, thinking I wouldn't be able to go to college. But she had no idea I'd already recorded the whole thing on a hidden camera in my room. After that, she stole the rich kid who was chasing after me, dreaming of becoming a trophy wife. Little did she know she was walking right into a trap I'd set for her. Since you love taking my things so much, you can have it all, the good and the bad. Just wait and see what's coming for you. My cousin Tina is my uncle's daughter. She's only 2 years younger than me, but she's a real piece of work. When we were little, my uncle always brought her over. I'd share my toys, but every time she left, a few of my favorites would be missing. Then, when I went to my uncle's house, I'd find them piled in a corner of her room like garbage. I went to my mom to complain, but she just shook her head. She's your younger cousin. Just let her have her way. Hearing that, I dropped it. It's fine. They're just toys. Mom will buy me new ones. And she did. But of course, Tina didn't leave the new ones alone either. In preschool, she just stole my snacks and toys. In elementary school, she started swiping loose change from my wallet. By middle school, she even stole my perfect score test paper, just so her own barely passing grade wouldn't look so bad. That was the last straw. I told my mom, but she just told me to be the bigger person. Tina's still little. She doesn't know any better. She'll grow out of it. Was it really just her being immature? Or was it a character flaw? I finally realized that because my grandma had always favored boys, my mom grew up letting her brother get away with everything. Now she expected me to do the same for his daughter. For her, this kind of tolerance was more important than any principle. I can't say she was stubborn, it's just that these twisted ideas, ingrained by the older generation, are incredibly hard to change. So from that day on, I never said another bad word about Tina to my mom. Instead, I did exactly what she wanted. I spoiled my cousin rotten and gave in to her every whim. Go ahead, dear cousin. Grow up happy. Do whatever you want. If the adults won't step in, why should I? The year I finished middle school, Tina was just starting 8th grade. Since her school was close to my house and my aunt and uncle were always busy with work, Tina became a permanent fixture at our place. One time, Mom took Tina, who'd gotten out of school early, to the mall to buy hair clips. There were 15 multicolored clips in a box, the kind that were super popular at the time. Tina, let's get 2 boxes, one for you and one for your cousin, okay? No, one is fine. Lucy and I can share. But there are 15. You can't split them evenly. Then give Lucy 8. I'll just take 7. Mom praised her for being so considerate and only bought 1 box. But that night, as soon as Mom divided the clips, Tina burst into tears for no reason. Wah, I want them all. I want them all. She screamed and wailed, snot and tears streaming down her face. I just watched her, calm as ever, as she sobbed like a dog. Then I turned to my mom with a small smile. Mom, just give them all to Tina. I don't want them. Lucy, don't you like these clips too? There are plenty of hair clips in the world. Let's just give these to her this time. I had long since learned to hide my true feelings and could play the generous older cousin perfectly. Mom patted my head, relieved, and promised to take me to buy new ones the next day. Not long after, my uncle showed up. Seeing his daughter crying her eyes out, he had to ask what happened. When he found out, instead of scolding Tina for going back on her word, he got a little annoyed with my mom. Come on, it's just a box of hair clips. Why didn't you just buy 2 boxes in the first place? Mom, out of habit, nodded and agreed, showing no sign of being upset with my uncle's tone. You're right, I wasn't thinking. From now on, I'll buy 2 of everything for the girls. That's more like it. They're about the same age. You can't play favorites. Of course not. I've watched Tina grow up too. Whatever Lucy has, she has. Good. Tina's your only niece. Who else are you going to spoil if not her? Listening to this grating conversation, the hand I held behind my back clenched into a tight fist. The next day, Tina came over again. I spotted her colorful head from across the room. As she got closer, I counted. Exactly 15 clips. If I had to describe how I felt in that moment using today's slang, it would be that my mind just exploded. I couldn't hide my emotions. Mom seemed to notice and pulled me aside, whispering, "It's not a big deal. If she likes wearing them, just let her. Is she trying to show off in front of me? Tina's just a kid. She's not that calculating. She probably just likes them. She's not a kid anymore. She should learn to be considerate of other people's feelings. She'll understand when she's older. And what if she never does? Then, for your uncle's sake, just let it go, okay?" I was silent for a couple of seconds, then smiled and said okay. I walked over to Tina, took her hand, and told her she looked absolutely beautiful with all the clips in her hair. Lost in my praise, Tina started shaking her head happily, completely full of herself. She had no idea that in my eyes, her pretty little face was becoming more and more repulsive. So repulsive I wanted to tear it to pieces. When I was a sophomore in high school, Tina was in her last year of middle school. It was a time when she should have been studying for her high school entrance exams, but instead, she developed a crush on a freshman boy at her school. I saw him once when I went to pick Tina up. He was tall, thin, and handsome, with a bright smile like a sunflower. The car that picked him up was a Mercedes, so it looked like his family was well off. In front of me, Tina tried her best to hide her feelings for him, but I saw right through it. I glanced at the license plate of the boy's family car, then took Tina home. After dinner, I saw her open her little wallet, staring dreamily at a photo inside. I brought over a plate of fruit, and only then did she reluctantly put it away. "Tina, have some fruit. Girls need to eat more fruit to stay pretty." I smiled and placed the heaping platter on the table. "Thanks, Lucy." She gave me a sweet smile, carefully picking out the strawberries and cherries before pushing the remaining apples back to me. "Lucy, your mom said you like apples, so you can have the rest." Did my mom say that? Of course not. My mom knows I hate apples. But I didn't call her out. I just smiled and popped a slice into my mouth. It was getting dark, which meant my uncle would be here to pick Tina up soon. While Tina was in the bathroom, I quietly took the small wallet out of her backpack and tucked it into a shallow side pocket. When my uncle arrived, Tina still wasn't out. I pretended to be helpful, zipping up her backpack and handing it to him. "Uncle, Tina's backpack is so heavy. She brings so many books home every day. She's studying so hard." My uncle was pleased to hear that and took the backpack from me. Just then, the small wallet I had purposely placed in the side pocket fell out. I immediately bent down to pick it up, stealthily unfastened the clasp, and stood up to hand it to my uncle. He instinctively opened it, and his face changed the second he saw the photo inside. Just then Tina came out. She panicked and snatched the wallet from his hands. "Why are you looking through my things?" My uncle was furious. "You're in 8th grade. You should be studying, not messing around. Hiding a boy's picture in your wallet. Have you no shame?" Tina was trembling with anger. Her dark eyes, filled with hatred, quickly darted to me. She must have guessed I set her up, but of course, I wasn't going to admit it. So when my uncle raised his hand to hit her, I dramatically threw myself in front of her. "Uncle, that's not her wallet, it's mine. Please don't yell at her. This is her wallet. I've seen her with it at home. Tina and I have identical wallets. Mom bought them for us together. I must have taken mine out earlier, and maybe Tina packed it by mistake." I turned to Tina, who was staring at me in surprise, and gave her a small smile. "Don't be scared, Tina. I'll explain everything." She seemed to believe me, clinging to my arm and sobbing quietly. "I'm sorry, Lucy. I must have grabbed the wrong one." Just as I expected, Tina knew exactly how to take the easy way out. As long as it benefited her, she couldn't care less about anyone else. I saw my uncle frowning in silence, clearly still skeptical. Just then, my mom came back from the neighbor's house and asked what all the commotion was about. After understanding the situation, Mom first comforted Tina and me, then pulled my uncle out to the balcony where they talked for a long time. They came back a short while later, and my uncle looked much calmer. "Lucy, you're a sophomore now. The most important thing is your studies. Don't let other things distract you." I meekly agreed, then stared at my shoes without saying another word. As soon as they left, Mom grabbed my hand. Lucy, I know you're not interested in that stuff, and you definitely wouldn't be hiding a boy's picture. So you said that to help Tina, didn't you? I bit my lip and nodded, squeezing out a few wronged-looking tears. You're such a good kid, always protecting your cousin. But this time, you really shouldn't have taken the fall for her. Even though Mom often favored Tina, I was still her own daughter. When it came to a matter of principle like this, she naturally didn't want me to be at a disadvantage. Mom, Uncle has a short temper. He's not as reasonable as you are. If he found out the truth, he would have hit Tina for sure. That would just cause family drama, and it's not worth it. Our Lucy is such a good kid. Mom marveled at my maturity, and I gave a shy, fake smile. Mom, let's help Tina cover this up for now. After a while, it'll all blow over. What do you think? Mom thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. I knew her personality. She hated confrontation and always preferred to keep the peace, so her reaction didn't surprise me at all. In fact, it was exactly what I was hoping for. After that, Tina seemed to rely on me even more. She even brought up the boy herself. His name was Evan. It sounded like a name straight out of a novel. Not only was he a good person and a great student, but his family was in the construction business. He was a bona fide rich kid. I didn't tell her to stop daydreaming. Instead, I warned her that parents are very strict about dating at her age, and told her to be more careful not to get caught. She was smug, saying she'd already gotten rid of the photo and promised she wouldn't get exposed. I pinched her cheek and smiled, praising her for being so clever. But was she really clever? Not at all. She thought she could fool everyone, but her so-called cleverness was laughable to any adult. Just as I predicted, although my uncle didn't explicitly say whether he believed me or not that day, he became much stricter with Tina. For example, he cut her allowance, picked her up early on weekends, and no longer let her go out whenever she wanted. Being reined in like this made the temperamental Tina more and more irritable with each passing day. But that was okay. She still had me. High school was busy, but I could always find some time for her. I took her to KFC and McDonald's, and to the little boutiques that high school girls loved. I bought cheap but cute makeup from a little market stall, and deliberately waited until she asked for it before reluctantly giving it to her. Tina, isn't there a really popular girl at your school named Sarah? Yeah, she's so pretty. She is, but I don't think you're any less pretty. Really? Of course. You have such a good foundation. You're just as good as her. I think so too. I saw her putting on makeup in the bathroom in secret. No wonder. If you wore makeup, you'd definitely be prettier than her. But right now, your priority is studying. Don't be like them and start wearing makeup. Just hold on to these for now, you can use them later. I said it casually, then looked down at my phone. Soon after, Tina fell in love with makeup. She started going to school early every day to do her eyebrows and eyeliner in the bathroom, then wash it all off before school ended so my uncle wouldn't find out. But while she could fool my uncle, she couldn't fool her teacher's eagle eyes. A teacher soon called her parents in for a meeting, citing her lack of academic focus. That afternoon, I happened to have the evening off from my study session and got home early. My uncle dragged Tina by the arm and stood in front of me, his face dark as he yelled, "Lucy, Tina said you gave her all this makeup. Is that true?" I feigned surprise and glanced at Tina. "Lucy, just tell Dad the truth. You're the one who insisted on giving it to me, and you said I'd look prettier with makeup. If I hadn't listened to you, I wouldn't have been putting it on at school every day, and my parents wouldn't have been called in." As Tina spoke, she started crying. The mascara she hadn't washed off yet smudged everywhere, making her look ridiculous. I looked at my uncle, then at my mom, and nodded slightly. I thought it looked fun, so I bought it for her. "I'm sorry I was wrong." My uncle was so furious his chest heaved violently. Mom quickly stepped in to mediate, pulling my uncle aside and talking to him for a long time until he finally calmed down. Just then, Tina cautiously looked up at me. I could see the conflict in her eyes. I didn't blame her. Instead, I gave her a knowing wave, signaling that I didn't mind. She blinked at me gratefully and mouthed the words, "Thank you." After they left, Mom sat me down for a talk. "Lucy, what really happened? You don't usually touch that makeup stuff. I pouted and squeezed out a few tears. I took Tina to McDonald's the other day, and we passed a little makeup shop and went in to look around, but I didn't buy anything. I have no idea where she got her makeup. What? You really didn't buy it? Not only do I not use that stuff, but even if I wanted to, I don't have enough allowance for it. But Tina doesn't have that much money either. Where did she get it? Mom frowned, her expression suddenly turning serious. Don't tell me she stole it? I feigned a look of shock. No way. Tina's so young. How would she dare? What about all those toys you lost when you were little? Weren't they all taken by her? We're family. Even if she took my things, you can't call it stealing. Taking something without asking is stealing, no matter who it is from. I used to tell you to let her have her way, because she was little and didn't know better. But she's 16 now. What if she's really going down the wrong path? I quickly cut her off. Mom, whatever you do, don't tell Uncle about this. He's already furious today. If he finds out Tina is stealing, he'll definitely hit her. Mom hesitated. I know, but Tina. Mom, Tina listens to me the most. I'll talk to her privately and make sure she changes her ways. You're so busy with school right now. How do you have time to deal with her? I can always find some free time. It won't affect my studies, I promise. Well, okay then. Just be careful. I could see Mom's hesitation and understood her unspoken message. No matter how much she liked Tina, she wasn't her own flesh and blood. Tina could never be as important as her own daughter. With my college entrance exams approaching, she didn't want anyone or anything to interfere with my studies, not even Tina. Seeing my mom's attitude change day by day, I knew my efforts hadn't been in vain. Oh Tina, your happy days are numbered. My math grades were always at the top of my class, and my problem-solving methods were even praised by my teachers. Because of this, a lot of my classmates would ask me for help, and I was always happy to share what I knew. One day, a classmate named Jessica mentioned that her younger brother's math skills were terrible and asked if I could help tutor him. I was initially reluctant, until I saw the Mercedes that came to pick her up. It was the same license plate. The same car that used to pick up Evan. So her brother was the rich kid my dear cousin was so obsessed with. I agreed to tutor him, and went over to his family's mansion the next day. Jessica greeted me warmly, had the housekeeper cut up a bunch of fruit for me, and even served me soda in a crystal glass. I have to say, the rich really know how to live. Lucy, you get near perfect scores in math every time. How do you do it? Jessica asked. My uncle is a calculus professor, and my dad is a physics teacher. I grew up listening to them, so I've always been pretty good with science and math, I said honestly. It wasn't really bragging. Jessica was amazed, her eyes filled with admiration. You know, for a rich girl who usually seems so aloof, she was actually quite down to earth once you got to know her. We chatted for a while longer, about everything from schoolwork to gossip about other classes. Just as we were getting into it, a tall, thin boy burst into view. Jess, where's the tutor you found for me? I subtly curved my lips into a smile. Before Jessica could even speak, I stood up and faced him. Hi, that would be me. Evan was a little stunned when he saw me and scratched his head awkwardly. My sister said you were a STEM god, but you don't really look like one. Oh, and why is that? Nothing, I just pictured someone different. He tried to cover his embarrassment with a smile, and dropped his backpack nearby. Jess, we're about to start. Jessica rolled her eyes. It's rare to see you so eager to study. Did the sun rise in the west today? I just don't want to waste the teacher's time. Fine. You better listen to Lucy and learn. And don't you dare slack off just because she's a pretty girl. Work hard. She's already doing me a huge favor by taking the time to tutor you. After lecturing him, Jessica turned back to me, cracked a few more jokes, and then left the room. In the quiet study, I could even hear the thumping of the boy's heart next to me. I smiled slightly and opened the textbook. All right, kiddo. Let's get started. After that, I regularly went to tutor Evan, and Jessica and I became closer and closer. When the final exam scores came out, Evan got near perfect scores in both math and physics. As a thank you, Jessica gave me a beautiful fountain pen that looked like it was imported from abroad. I politely declined at first but ultimately accepted it. After all, I'd earned it. Lucy, that pen is so pretty. Did your mom buy it for you? That very evening, Tina saw my new pen, her eyes filled with a mix of envy and suspicion. Right. If my mom bought one for me but not for her, she'd have another reason to complain to my uncle. So I just smiled and shook my head. A classmate gave it to me as a thank you for tutoring her. I didn't mention Evan. It wasn't time for that yet. It's so beautiful. Give it to me. Just as I expected, Tina was as shameless as ever. Tina, if Mom had bought it, I'd give it to you, of course. But my classmate gave it to me. She'd be really upset if she found out I gave it away. After I said that, I put the pen away before she could argue further. Tina, I still have some of my allowance left this month. I'll buy you something else later. Can you just let me keep this pen, please? Hearing this, Tina nodded, and the resentment in her eyes faded a little. But unsurprisingly, within 3 days, the pen I'd put in my drawer was gone. I didn't need to guess who took it. I wasn't angry. Instead, I just rested my chin in my hands, stared out the window, and let out a long sigh. Time flew by, and before I knew it, I had taken my college entrance exams. I applied to the best university in the state, and as I'd hoped, I got in. My whole family was celebrating with me, except for Tina, who was sulking. I knew her grades weren't great. Her teacher had even advised my uncle to have her consider community college instead of a 4-year university. My uncle flew into a rage and slapped her twice right in front of me and my mom. Tina cried her eyes out, but I felt a satisfaction I had never known before. Of course I was satisfied. I had spent my own money and effort to make sure she had a good time these past few years. Seeing such great results, how could I not be thrilled? To celebrate, my mom invited people over for dinner, and even got a beautiful cake. I took out my acceptance letter to show it off, then carefully put it away in my cabinet as if it were a precious treasure. Mom, this letter is really important. If I lose it, I won't be able to go to college. You have to help me keep it safe, okay? I said it on purpose, then happily started cutting the cake. Later, my acceptance letter really did go missing. This, too, was within my expectations. I watched the video on my phone, recorded by the hidden camera in my room. In the footage, Tina tiptoed to my desk, grabbed my acceptance letter without hesitation, and tore it into tiny pieces before stuffing them in her pocket. I suddenly burst out laughing, my shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Tina, I gave you a chance. You're the one who didn't take it. When she heard my acceptance letter was missing, my mom was on the verge of tears. I comforted her, explaining that I just needed to bring the right documents to the university to sort it out. Even without the letter, they would still let me enroll. Mom finally calmed down after hearing that. I watched her silent expression, guessing what she was thinking. But I didn't say anything and just went to prepare my other documents. On the first day of school, I enrolled without any issues, even without my acceptance letter. The process was a bit of a hassle, but I didn't mind at all. At school, I ran into Jessica, who had also gotten into the same university. Even better, we were in the same major and were even assigned to the same dorm room. Lucy, I have a secret to tell you. Jessica leaned in conspiratorially and whispered something that didn't surprise me one bit. But I still pretended to be shocked, covering my face shyly. He likes me? For real? Of course it's true. Why would I lie to you? I bit my lip, carefully watching her reaction. You're not mad at me, are you? Jessica waved her hand dismissively. Why would I be? That idiot has a crush on you. Why would I be mad at you? Oh good. And even if you two started dating, I wouldn't be mad. I'd actually be really happy. What? Are you serious? Although I had anticipated this, Jessica's reaction still surprised me a little. Of course. We've known each other for so long, and we basically know everything about each other. I'd trust you with him. It's better for him to be with you than to be tricked by some girl with bad intentions, right? I was speechless and could only manage a dry laugh. So what do you think? She asked, genuinely curious. What can I think? Evan has his college exams coming up. I just want him to focus on his studies. Let's not talk about anything else for now. You're right. It won't be too late for him to confess after he gets into our university. Our university? The next year, Evan really did get into our university and even chose the same major as me. And he did confess to me, but I turned him down. I'm sorry I can't be with you. At least, not right now. Disappointment and frustration flickered across Evan's face. Why? Don't you like me? You're Jessica's little brother. I've always seen you as a little brother too. But I'm only a year younger than you. I know, but that's not an easy impression to change. I knew Evan's personality, he wouldn't give up easily, so I made my rejection a little more firm. Sure enough, his resolve was just as strong. Fine. I'll wait for you. Until you change your mind about me. With that, he suddenly kissed me on the cheek and then bolted, looking flustered. I touched my warm cheek and couldn't help but smile. Tina was a senior in high school now, a critical time when she couldn't afford any distractions. Over the weekend, I got a call from my uncle asking me to come home and tutor Tina whenever I had time. I agreed and promised to set aside 1 day a week for her. My uncle was thrilled and even bought me a bunch of snacks. That day, I hitched a ride home with Jessica. Our houses weren't far apart, and she hated the idea of me squeezing onto a bus in the heat, so she always gave me a ride when she could. When I got home, Tina was leaning against the window looking outside. Lucy, isn't that the Evan family's car? She rushed over excitedly. When I confirmed it, she got even more worked up. So you know Evan's sister? And you're good friends? Why didn't you tell me sooner? I feigned ignorance and helplessness. I knew she had a brother, but I didn't know it was that Evan. We rarely talk about stuff like that. She didn't seem to doubt me and started jumping around with joy. Okay, let's study first. Here are the notes I prepared for you. All you have to do is... Lucy, can you ask Evan out to dinner for me? What? You go to the same university as him now, and you're friends with his sister. It should be easy to get him to come out, right? Please, will you ask him for me? Looking into her sparkling eyes, I couldn't help but laugh. Tina, I support you going after him, but your exams are just around the corner. The most important thing right now is studying. If your dad finds out... She cut me off again. Evan's family is so rich. If I end up with him, I won't even need to go to college. I'll just be a trophy wife. Besides, you're friends with his sister, so she'll be nice to me too, right? I almost laughed out loud at her logic. Seeing my expression, Tina's face quickly turned cold. Lucy, you don't want me to get to know Evan, do you? You're afraid I'll have a better life than you, aren't you? Of course not. I'd be happy to help you. Then ask him out for me. All right. Finish these problems first, and I'll go make a call. I put down the textbooks I'd prepared and walked out of the room with my phone. I deliberately closed the door, then stood in a corner with my back to her, and made a fake phone call. Hey, are you free tonight? Let's grab dinner. Bring Evan along. Chad's there too? Never mind, don't bring him. What do you mean, why? My cousin is gorgeous. What if Chad falls for her? Of course not. Chad's my type. I'm hoping to marry him and become a rich wife. Just bring Evan. Don't tell Chad we're going out. Okay, same old place, 6 p.m. See you there. I hung up the non-existent call, pretending not to notice the little ears that had been eavesdropping behind me. A slow smile spread across my face. During the tutoring session, Tina started asking casual questions. Lucy, I accidentally overheard you earlier. Who's Chad? I pretended to be shy, picking at my eraser. Chad's a finance major at our school. His family is in real estate, way richer than Evan's family. You like him? I wouldn't say I like him yet, but we get along well. I see. Tina seemed lost in thought. I just smiled. We're all having dinner tonight. Make sure you dress up. Tina nodded seriously. Don't worry, Lucy. I won't embarrass you. That evening, I took Tina to the restaurant I had booked. But waiting for us there weren't Jessica and Evan. It was Chad, the one person I supposedly didn't want there. Of course, this was all part of my plan. Chad had been relentlessly pursuing me lately. When he saw my social media post about coming here for dinner, he naturally came running. To make sure Evan didn't show up, I'd even set the post so only Chad could see it. It took some effort. Lucy, fancy seeing you here. Chad sidled up to us with a fake smile plastered across his decent-looking face. I feigned surprise. Chad? What are you doing here? Told you it's a coincidence. You didn't hear it from someone, did you? Of course not. Am I that kind of person? He then glanced at the girl next to me, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. I cleared my throat and pulled Tina forward. This is my cousin Tina. She's still in high school. I was tutoring her today, so we're grabbing a bite. Tina blushed and said hello to Chad, her delicately made-up face like a blooming rose. Chad gave her a few extra looks before inviting us to join him for dinner. I didn't refuse and led Tina over to his table. To show off, Chad pretended to be an expert on the restaurant, personally going to select the seafood and other dishes. While he was busy, I pretended to check my phone and then announced with fake regret that Evan's family had an emergency and they couldn't make it. As I expected, Tina no longer cared whether Evan was coming. She was now completely captivated by Chad. I looked into her dark, shining eyes, and a small smile involuntarily touched my lips. Chad was a smooth talker, so we had a very pleasant meal. I excused myself to go to the bathroom twice, and each time I came back, I found Tina and Chad sitting closer together. By the end of dinner, they had even exchanged numbers, under the guise of study buddies. On the way home, I told Tina not to mention anything about tonight to her dad, and reminded her that her exams were coming up, so she shouldn't let boys distract her. She swore she wouldn't and told me not to spill the beans either. We had a deal. We walked home hand in hand. After that day, Chad stopped contacting me. I knew he had been ensnared by that little minx, Tina. Jessica noticed right away and couldn't help but ask, Lucy, has that annoying Chad finally stopped chasing you? Oh, him? I think he's chasing someone else now. Thank God. My brother can finally get a good night's sleep. She huffed, then continued her rant. I wonder which unlucky girl he's latched onto now. The guy can't tell the truth to save his life. Always bragging that his family is in real estate when his parents are just working-class people. It's already a struggle for them to put him through school. And he's out here spending money like water, terrified someone won't know he's a poser. People like that are the absolute worst. I lifted my eyes and let out a soft sigh. Yeah, I wonder who the unlucky girl is. My exams were approaching, but I heard something from my mom. Tina was pregnant. She had just found out. My uncle was going crazy, trying to force her to name the father, but Tina kept her mouth shut. It wasn't until he threatened to take her to get an abortion that she fell to her knees, crying and begging. No, I can't lose this baby. If I do, Chad won't marry me. I have to marry him. I want to be a trophy wife. I'm already not going to college, I can't lose him too, wah. She wailed hysterically, looking like a porcelain doll about to shatter. Hearing my mom describe it, I found it amusing, but I put on a worried expression. Mom, what's going to happen to Tina? But my mom was surprisingly cold, as if she couldn't care less about Tina's fate. That night, while my family was having dinner, my uncle barged into our house, dragging Tina with him. Lucy, Tina said you introduced her to that guy. Is that true? My uncle's eyes were bloodshot with rage, looking like he could explode at any moment. I stood up, faced them, and smiled calmly. I did take Tina to dinner that day, but I never contacted Chad. I have no idea why he was there. How can you say I introduced them? Then why did you eat with him? We're college classmates. We ran into each other and had a meal together. That's perfectly normal. What's the problem? What's the problem? He did this to Tina, and you think there's no problem? That's his problem. What does it have to do with me? What did you say? I warned her not to get any funny ideas, and I told Tina to focus on her exams. They're the ones who didn't listen and got together behind my back. How is that my fault? In that moment, all my years of pent-up resentment erupted. My parents, my uncle, and Tina all stared at me in shock, as if they were seeing me for the first time. I glanced at the tear-streaked face of my cousin, and let out a sneer. Tina, all these years, what have you ever wanted that I didn't give you? Haven't I been good enough to you? Why is it that the second you get into trouble, you try to blame me? Don't you have any responsibility in this? Tina seemed completely stunned, stammering and unable to speak. My uncle, furious, tried to grab me but was shoved away by my dad. My mom shielded me, finally unleashing years of her own frustration. You're my brother, and I've let you have your way since we were kids. Then we both had children, and I made my child give in to yours. Isn't that enough? What more do you want? Your daughter did this to my daughter, and you're asking me what I want. That was Tina's choice. What does it have to do with Lucy? Lucy has taken the fall for her enough times. Now you want to pin this on her too? Even if she could tolerate it, I, as her mother, will not. What do you mean, take the fall? Back when Tina had that boy's picture in her wallet, Lucy took the blame so she wouldn't get in trouble. Later, when Tina stole makeup and wore it to school, Lucy took the blame again. Now she's been irresponsible and gotten herself pregnant, and you want Lucy to take the blame for that too? After hearing my mom's outburst, my uncle and Tina were both frozen in place. No, what do you mean stole makeup? Lucy gave it to me. Tina snapped back, denying it. Your cousin said she never bought you anything. She's already taken the fall for you once. Just leave her alone, will you? I could see my mom was really worked up, so I quickly pulled her aside to calm her down. Tina stared at me in disbelief. Lucy, is that what you said? I sighed and looked at her helplessly. Tina, I've done everything I possibly could for you. I didn't even tell anyone that you stole my college acceptance letter. What more do you want? Her eyes widened, and her face instantly turned pale. My uncle didn't believe it and started shouting. Bullshit. Our Tina would never do something like that. You better have proof. I calmly opened the video on my phone and showed it to them. I forgot to mention, since things were always going missing in our house, I installed a camera a long time ago. What I never expected was that my dear cousin, who acted so close to me, secretly hated me this much. She actually tore up my acceptance letter just so I couldn't go to college. My mom had only suspected it before, but now, seeing the video with her own eyes, she was livid. This is how you repay me for being so good to you. What did my daughter ever do to you that you'd try to ruin her life like this? My uncle gritted his teeth, snatched my phone, and slammed it on the ground. I smiled slightly, as if I had expected it. Uncle, that was my old phone. It was about to break anyway, so feel free to smash it. As for the video, I've already saved it to the cloud. I can make as many copies as I want. My dad chased my uncle and Tina out with a broom. As they were leaving, I saw the venomous look in Tina's eyes, as if she wanted to eat me alive. A strange sense of satisfaction washed over me. I wished I could have taken a picture of her face. Later, my mom held me and cried for a long time, saying she was sorry for how she'd treated me all these years. I just gently patted her back and told her it was all in the past, and everything would be okay from now on. Tina refused to get an abortion, and was so stubborn that she didn't even take her college entrance exams. With the situation spiraling, the culprit, Chad, turned into a coward. When my uncle confronted him, he denied the baby was his. In a fit of rage, my uncle beat Chad so badly that one ended up in the hospital and the other in a police station. When Tina found out, she went crying to Chad's family, begging them to sign a letter of forgiveness to get my uncle released. But when she found the address and arrived at the dilapidated apartment complex, she finally discovered that Chad wasn't a rich kid at all. He was just a poser who had been using his parents' hard-earned money to pretend he was wealthy. She had a complete breakdown and started bleeding on the spot. In the end, she lost the baby, and they almost couldn't save her uterus. I went to the hospital and saw her lying in bed, her face ghostly white, like a porcelain doll on the verge of breaking. But even in her weakened state, the look she gave me was pure poison. Why? Why would you do this to me? This was all your plan, wasn't it? I smiled slightly, pretending not to understand what she was talking about. You deliberately introduced me to Chad, deliberately pushed me into this pit. You arranged everything, didn't you? I sighed softly, pulled up a chair, and picked up an orange from the fruit basket by her bed, peeling it slowly. I told you that studying was the most important thing, that you shouldn't be wearing makeup so young. Did you listen? I told you that your exams were coming up and that you shouldn't let boys distract you. Did you listen? Ever since we were kids, you've ignored every single warning I've given you. And then when things go wrong, you blame me. I've bent over backward for you, but in your mind, I still owe you something. Have you ever stopped to think about all the things you've stolen and snatched from me over the years? Tina, even if I owed you something from a past life, the debt should be paid by now. From now on, you're still my cousin, but that's all we'll ever be. She stared at me, her face growing even paler. I ate my orange, watching her calmly. I gave you chances, you know? Every test I put you through over the years came with an opportunity. It's a shame you never took a single one. The last time, I wanted to see if you would steal my acceptance letter. And you really did. You tore it to shreds. Since you hate me so much, why should I go easy on you? I thought she would scream at me, but instead, she was silent for a moment before she started crying and apologizing. I'm sorry, Lucy. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I knew she wouldn't apologize so easily and quickly guessed her motive. What is it? You need something from me. Lucy, please, can you talk to Chad's family? Ask them to sign the forgiveness letter and get my dad out of jail. I'm begging you. I don't know Chad's family. Why would they listen to me? Chad likes you. He'll listen to you. He's a social pariah right now. I don't want to get involved with him. Lucy, I'm begging you. I cut her off, stood up, and glanced out the window. My boyfriend is here to pick me up. I have to go. I deliberately watched her expression as I spoke, then gave her a meaningful smile. My boyfriend is Evan. You know him, right? In that moment, I saw Tina's pupils tremble. You and Evan? How could you possibly be with Evan? Why not? Evan and I have known each other for a long time. I started tutoring him when I was a sophomore in high school. You just didn't know. Tina's hands gripped the blanket so tightly that her knuckles turned white. So that's how it is. You planned this all along. You knew I liked Evan, so you planned to steal him from the very beginning. You did all of this just to get back at me. Lucy, you're such a good actress. You're so evil. I wasn't bothered by her curses. I just looked at her calmly. Yeah, you're right. I got close to him and made him fall for me. It was all part of my plan. At first, it was to get revenge on you, but that changed. There are a million ways to get back at an idiot like you. I didn't need to use an innocent person like Evan. He's a really great guy. How could I ever bring myself to hurt someone so wonderful? After saying all that, I couldn't resist twisting the knife a little deeper. You liked him for so long, and he never even gave you a second glance. I tutored him a few times, and he started chasing me relentlessly, even getting into my university for me. It was only because of you that I kept turning him down. Now that your drama is over, I can finally date him without any worries. Tina's chapped lips trembled, and she grabbed a pillow and threw it at me in a frenzy. I dodged it easily and shrugged. Your wounds haven't healed yet. A big movement like that could make you start bleeding again. If you lose your uterus, you can forget about using that body of yours to marry into money. Lucy, you bitch. You designed all of this. You ruined my life. You stole everything that should have been mine. You can go to hell. I found it almost funny. I'm a bitch? Then what are you? You liked Evan, but you still gave yourself to Chad. All because you thought I liked Chad, and you thought his family was richer than Evan's, so you had to snatch him away even if you didn't like him. In the end, it's all because you're selfish. You just love taking my things. Deep down, you can't stand the thought of me being better off than you. You've been running wild for so many years. Did it never occur to you that one day, you'd be the one getting played? I let out a soft sigh and looked at her with a hint of pity. Tina, you're pathetic. A pathetic, hateful idiot. It didn't even take much effort to set you up, you know that? With that, I ignored her screams and curses, turned around, and calmly walked out of the hospital room. Because the whole mess with Chad got so big, I was dragged into it. I had to explain to all my friends how Chad had followed me to the restaurant, and how he had seduced my dear cousin. Later, I accidentally let it slip that Tina had torn up my acceptance letter and almost prevented me from going to college. Jessica was furious on my behalf. So that's what happened. No wonder you were busy with paperwork until the afternoon on the first day of school, when we were all done so early. And I never saw you use that fountain pen I gave you. That horrible cousin of yours stole it too. I'm so mad. That pen was imported from Germany, and I spent ages picking it out. Still not satisfied. She insisted I leak the video of Tina tearing up my letter. Let it go. She's still my uncle's daughter. We're related by blood. If this gets out, she'll never be able to show her face again. You're so good to her, always thinking of her. And this is how she repays you. She hates me so much right now, but there are other reasons too. What reasons? I only found out later that the boy she'd liked for so long was Evan. Now, with everything that's happened to her, I'm with the boy she likes. I'm afraid she might. Jessica grabbed my arm, her expression unusually serious. Lucy, don't you dare break up with Evan because of her. That awful woman doesn't deserve him. Evan likes you. Just as she finished speaking, I saw Evan rushing over. He pulled me into a hug. You're not going to break up with me for that cousin of yours, are you? I couldn't help but laugh and patted his back. What are you thinking? Why would I break up with you? I've done everything I can for her. From now on, I'm not letting her take anything else from me. Don't worry. You're mine and no one is taking you away. Evan sniffled, looking like a little puppy afraid of being abandoned. So cute. I couldn't help but think as I gently stroked his face. Eventually, Tina was discharged from the hospital. My uncle was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and my aunt was so furious she moved back to her hometown. In an instant, a perfectly good family fell apart. Tina wouldn't let it go. She came to our university and caused a huge scene, screaming that it was all my fault and that I had ruined her life. She even threw herself in front of Evan, crying that she was the one who truly loved him and that I was just using him to get back at her. I barely got angry before Evan and Jessica lost their cool. Jessica immediately pulled out her phone and showed everyone the videos of Tina stealing my things and tearing up my acceptance letter. Evan had his family's bodyguards grab her and drag her off campus. The whole scene was, for lack of a better word, spectacular. Someone filmed it and posted it online. Everyone called Tina a heartless, ungrateful monster, and she briefly became infamous. A few years later, we graduated from college. Evan proposed, and I brought him home to meet my parents. Coincidentally, I saw my very pregnant cousin in our neighborhood. She was holding her belly with one hand and a phone with the other, seemingly yelling at the person on the line to hurry up and divorce their wife to marry her. When she saw Evan and me, Tina's dark eyes went wide. But instead of screaming at me like she used to, she scurried away like a rat. When I got home, my mom told me Tina had come to borrow money. My uncle hadn't worked in years, and my aunt had disappeared. With no degree and no experience, it was nearly impossible for Tina to make a living in today's society. Their savings were almost gone. Even though our families had long been estranged, she was about to give birth, and the baby's father wasn't supporting her. She had no choice but to come to us for money. Mom, how much does she need? If she's really struggling, we should lend it to her. We can't let the baby suffer as soon as it's born. I knew my mom had a soft heart, and had probably already lent her the money. I didn't want her to think I'd be angry, so I tried to give her an out. No. She chose this path herself. I won't help her anymore. Besides, she says borrow. But I know she'll never pay it back. My money is for my daughter. Why would I waste it on her? My mom's attitude surprised me. I thought she would still feel some loyalty to her brother. From the moment I found out she tore up your acceptance letter, I decided I wouldn't show her any mercy. Evan nodded vigorously in agreement. Your mom's right, Lucy. You don't need to feel sorry for her. She chose this path, and now she has to walk it, even if she has to crawl. I was stunned for a second, then burst out laughing. Who gave you the right to call her mom? But to my surprise, my mom actually responded with a hum of approval, clearly very pleased with her future son-in-law. That clever devil, Evan, seeing my mom didn't object, turned to my dad and called him Dad too. Now my dad was laughing, pulling Evan aside to chat. Watching my happy family, I suddenly thought that maybe my cousin hadn't been a complete disaster. After all, she's the one who led me to Evan, isn't she?